On this episode, I'm delighted to be joined by one of the game's great characters. His loyalty personified, playing over 400 times in the Premier League for his boyhood club. It can only be one man, Mr. West Ham himself, Mark Noble. Nobes, congratulations. First few months retirement. How are you feeling? How's it treating you?
To be honest, Joe, I ain't stopped really.
Really?
I went on holiday with a wife for 6 days, and then I went to Boston and graduated from Harvard.
Hold on a minute. Harvard.
Harvard, yeah, stayed on campus for 5 days.
How was that?
I knew there was this business of entertainment, media, and sports at Harvard University in Boston, and applied for the course about 3 years ago, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have worked out any perfect. So I know the course is a really hard course to get onto, and I got the email in pre-season last year to say that I got accepted and done 5 days on campus at the beginning of June, which was incredible.
Yeah.
Knowing that I was retiring and finishing, and just wanted to try something different.
I'm sure you'll be successful. Let's go all the way back, Nobes. A lad from Canning Town and playing for West Ham, it's the absolute dream.
I've not just lived every West Ham fan's dream, it's every fan's dream. To play for the team you support growing up, and then captain the team and stay there your whole career is obviously so rare now. Sometimes I still think, how has that happened to me? Do you know what I mean? How have I come from there and done what I've done at West Ham and stayed there and obviously just retired? It don't feel real at times. For me, for my family, it's pretty special.
You come through the famed academy, which I came through, and people ask me a lot, what did West Ham get right in that era? And I'm like, the only thing I can put my finger on is the people.
Yeah, I'm so pleased you said that, because the people, West Ham as a club hasn't got the Tottenham Hotspur training ground or the Leicester City training ground, or hasn't got any of that. But what we have got is got an incredible way with people. Obviously, I'm finished now, but even up to last year, we had our chefs at the training ground come out and have a bit of banter with the lads. You've been there, you've seen it. You've got that strong team and club ethos, which I think is so important in a football club.
Yeah.
You might not always be doing well on a pitch, but at least you've got a strong bond off the pitch, and for me that was so important. People don't realise I put enough really importance of how them staff are to a club, and that's why I always include the staff and everything and thank them, because they're so important.
You was just a young kid, just as I was leaving, coming through. But how was that training with Defoe, Di Canio, Trevor, Carrick, myself? I mean, it must have had an impression on you.
Joe, I was blown away by it, but also I remember coming into the gym and you and Monks and Di Canio and Trev, and I felt pretty comfortable. I know that sounds like, I didn't feel like...
I can tell you how comfortable you was, right? I remember Steve Lomas, who's a great guy. He's come in, he's walked into me, he's gone, he said, "Who's this kid?" He went, "Mark Noble." Yeah, he's a good player, mate. He said to me, "He's more confident than you." I was in the changing room.
I don't think he passed me the ball or something, and I was like, and do you know what? I remember doing it, Joe, and I remember thinking, "You idiot, what are you doing? Like, these are first team players. I'll do it with my own age group." But they respected that straight away, and there's a time that you would have had it, Joe. Obviously not. I would train for a week, and I remember playing a 1-2 with someone and chipping it over the top, and Trevor Sinclair scored, and I think it was Johnny Monks walked past, slapped me over the back of the head and said, "Well played, boy," and I was like 15, and for me that was unreal. And then, you won't remember this, Joe, but about 3 weeks after that, I was playing on the AstroTurf outside, on the back of Chadwell Heath, and we was playing Arsenal, and you'd just finished, the first team had just finished training, and I was playing on the pitch, and I see you from where I was playing come and stand on the side with Jimmy Hampton and watch, and a ball come to me in midfield, and I done a bit of skill, and I see you clapping, And I'm thinking, oh my God, mate, that's Joe, he's clapping me.
Yeah.
And obviously then sharing the changing room with you years later was surreal for me, do you know what I mean?
So you're getting into the first team, Nobes, at a difficult time for the club.
Yeah.
You know, there was the relegation and then the subsequent promotion and the playoff final. I mean, how was that playing in that game?
To be honest, the first one, Joe, against Preston, I didn't realise I was still a young lad. And
Yeah.
I was sub. And I look back now and I think I was 17, I think. Maybe 17 or 18 or whatever I was. You're still young. And Pards put me on with 1-0 up with 15, 20 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And I look and I think now, would that happen now? You know, like 1-0 up, what would you put an experienced pro on to kill the game? Do you know what I mean? And I look back and I think.
But you've always played like an experienced pro.
Yeah, maybe,
you know
yeah.
I mean?
But I remember thinking about this as I grew up, thinking he must have had a lot of belief in me, Joe, Pards, to do that. Do you know what I mean? He must have had a lot of belief in my ability to do that. And then obviously years later started in a playoff final, which was, I felt a lot more about then than I did when I was young. So I worried a lot more about the staff with their jobs. And
did you feel that creeping up on you, that responsibility, or was it?
Yeah, because when you're a young lad, you're just playing off enthusiasm really, and nothing's expected of you.
Yeah.
You're not that senior pro and then obviously you become club captain and it gets a lot worse. But then you actually start. For me, I really worried about staff members losing their jobs, because these are the people you spend with every day, Joe. And you become, they're like your family, mate. You spend more time with them than you do actually your own family. So, to when you actually get promoted and you know everyone's safe, it's pretty nice.
You get the promotion, the elation. You're still a young man, you're running on high, you're back in the Premier League, the new money comes in, and then Mascherano and Tevez, the two best young players in Argentina, turn up.
The funny thing is, I got injured at the end of the season and I needed to play games, and West Ham was playing really well at the time. Pards we had a really good first season back in the Prem. So I said to him, I need to go and get some games. I'm not going to play here, so I need to get some games. So I went to Ipswich and Jim Magilton was the manager, and I loved him. He was good brilliant. Player. Yeah, really good player. But he was nuts. But he was like, I really felt like he loved me and played like 10 games. I can't remember how many games it was. But then I come in from training once, and then I see Tevez and Mascherano. I knew I was going back the next week.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, "How's McDonald's?" Mascherano's just signed, and Tevez, and so obviously West Ham was really struggling at the time, and I went back. And Pard said, I think I'm going to send you on loan again. And Joe, do you know these moments in your career where you've probably had them good and bad, where you think, I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done that?
Yeah.
He pulled me in his office, and I felt like I was ready to play then. And he said, Mark, I'm thinking you should go to the end of the season and back out on loan and get some games. And I was like, nah.
Yeah.
I said, I feel like I'm ready to play now. I think Christian Daly was playing centre midfield at the time with Nigel Reo-Coker. And I think we'd just been beat by Bolton, and then Pards obviously lost his job. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made, because that was like 2 weeks before that, Joe. And if I would have gone out on loan, that great escape would have never been in my history, do you know what I mean? So Curb's come in, and he was obviously a Canning Town boy, the same as me, and I'm thinking, buzzing, he's come, I'm going to get a game. I didn't play for like 2 months, you know what I mean? I was like, and you know when you're training and I'm thinking, how can I, like, I'm the best player in training by a mile, how can I not play? And then he brought me in his office and he said, I'm going to play you. And then that was it, like, and then we just hit, like, Bobby hit a bit of form, and everything sort of clicked into gear, and it ended up being an incredible end to the season.
After that season, Nobes, you must have felt, was that when you felt like an established Premier League player, or was it you think, I've arrived now?
We stayed up, and I was like, oh, brilliant. But then I went away on holiday, and after 2 or 3 days, I'm like, start seeing the reports in the paper, we're signing this one, and all of a sudden you're like, well, 3 of them are centre midfield players, so like, where am I going to play? Do you know what I mean? So then I actually was away on holiday and I couldn't wait to get back to go into Curbs' office and say, look, listen, I want to play. Like, you're signing all these midfield players. I was just determined not to be left out.
Yeah.
Like, that was all that was on my mind. And that holiday for Carly was probably one of the worst ones we've ever had. I just wanted to go back because I'd only played the last 14 games of the season. Obviously, it was incredible. And as you're right, I've become an actual, a proper Premier League player then.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough for me, really. I'd had a taste of it and I didn't want to give it up. I dreamed about playing for West Ham. Obviously, I've done that. Would a England cap be the icing on the cake? Of course, but do I worry now that it didn't happen? Like, not at all, not one little bit.
So, Avram Grant comes in, and it was in a real bad way.
Yeah.
And you ended up getting relegated.
I just think the damage was already done, Joe.
Yeah.
Like, the damage was already done, and a lot of players didn't want to be there anymore. The recruitment wasn't great, and from the day one, I think we didn't lose a game in pre-season, if I remember rightly, and then we got smashed by Aston Villa away 3-0.
Yeah.
And just got played off the park, and I thought, nah, this ain't good. This, you know straight away.
Yeah. When
we got relegated, I had double hernia. I got injured at Chelsea away, and so I missed the last 6 weeks of the season. And watching it from the outside was painful, obviously, because I couldn't do anything about it. But for me, when it got to that, I just felt like the club needed a reset.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I know this sounds nuts to say now, but it was like we needed something like a relegation to happen to get the club sort of back where it should be. Like, I know that sounds really strange, but when you're in a change room, you know something's not right.
Yeah.
And it needed a Big Sam.
Two things there. First thing, so you're watching the team get relegated, and you being a Canning Town boy, I mean, it must have been so tough, because I know your mates would have been ringing you, because you venting as well. People vent, don't they?
Yeah,
like, and you're
course,
like,
yeah.
I'm trying, mate. This like.
But they're not just my mates. The geezer in the garage, the geezer in the shop, the geezer in the restaurant. Like, going to watch my son play. It was, no matter where I go, everyone wants to talk about West Ham, and if it's not going right, it's like, no, what's going on over there? God, you need to liven him up. What's going, like, wherever I've been for the last 18 years, that's happened.
Was that tough?
Yeah, because at times when it ain't going well, like, I'm sitting there with Carly in a restaurant, I don't even want to be there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I'm out with the boys. I'm thinking, got a big game on Saturday. We need to win. Like, I can't really be here now. Do you know what I mean? And because I cared so much, for me, the 18 years of me playing for West Ham, I've never really switched off. Like, even in when you finish the season and you've had a great season and you go on holiday, you think, next year I hope we need to sign a few players, and I hope we do as well next season, and I need to play well again.
Yeah. So Big Sam comes in. You're right. I think he's the perfect man. He's made a career, sort of stabilising clubs. Sam's teams were never set up to entertain, but they were set up to get their results. And you're right, when he come in, it was a match made in heaven for that period, weren't it? And what did he change?
I'm saying that as a West Ham fan, not as a player.
Yeah.
Because, like, West Ham it's too big a club to be in the Championship.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like he come in, and not only Big Sam, but people like Kevin Nolan was a massive factor in that, because he obviously had worked with Sam before, and we signed good players.
Yeah. Who could do the roles
that Sam wanted to do.
Yeah.
Sam knew what was needed to get back to the Premier League. And then once we got in the Premier League, we changed a little bit the way, because we had to. And then obviously had a really good 4 years. And what Sam was great at was trusting his players.
Yeah.
We had a fantastic life, as in we socialised a lot together, and whether that was a good thing or bad thing. But after myself being involved in obviously a relegation battle under Zola, and just survived one with Curbs 3 years earlier at Manchester United, I was like sick to death of fighting relegation. You know what I mean? So that settled 4 or 5 years was pretty nice to know. In sort of January February time, you was pretty much safe. You know what I mean? And then we'd have the trips with Sam. He'd always take us to Dubai or somewhere. We'd have a good time. And you've witnessed a couple of them, I know, because I've still got the photos.
They're worth a few quid in that from the right hand. England, from my perspective, it's not just because you're my pal.
Yeah.
I think most football fans say Mark Noble, he deserved an opportunity at that level.
Joe, do I think my own self? Do I feel like I deserved a chance at some point? 100%. Like in seasons.
No one would argue with you.
Like, look, I look at it as I've had 9 different managers, right, or 10 different managers, and played under every one of them. So I'm talking English, foreign, different styles.
Yeah.
And obviously played 400 Premier League games, over 400 Premier League games, and there's no way you play under all them managers and play that many games if you can't do it, right? Do I believe I should have played for England? Yeah, of course I do. But does it affect me? Like, not one little bit. Would I change my career with some players that have had 1 or 2 England caps and not had the Premier League and career I've had? Like, no, I wouldn't.
No.
If you look at the send off and the last season I've had with West Ham, and like, Joe, there's not many players in the world that gets that sort of send off and that sort of reception. So I dreamed about playing for West Ham, and I dreamed to captain West Ham and all that, and obviously I've done that. Would a England cap be the icing on the cake? Of course, but do I worry now that it didn't happen? Like, not at all, not one little bit.
So, Nobes, last season at Upton Park, how was that last year for you?
Well, you've got to remember, Joe, in that year I had a testimonial as well in the last season at the Boleyn. And we had a really good start, Arsenal away. We beat Arsenal away. And then we had 2 tough games, Leicester and Bournemouth at home. We lost them both. And then we beat Liverpool away, Man City away. We had a strong team.
Yeah.
And it just kept rolling, Joe. And then you sort of knew something special was going to happen, especially like in the last game. United was just, I can only describe it as like crackling. It was that the atmosphere was that good, and then to win the way we did, to be behind and then go and score 2 in late and win through 2. It was so special, and it's crazy, Joe. Because I wished I remember loads of it, but I'd wished I took more in, because it was phenomenal. And at the time, it was hard to take. It was hard to leave Upton Park. I mean, I had a box there for 12 people, and we used to have 40 people in the box every week. There was no rules, was there? My uncle worked on the front doors. My aunt worked in the boxes, and you just walk in. I say, I'm in Nobes' box. All right, sweet, go on in, off you go. And sometimes I'd walk in my box after the game, and I had 10 people I didn't know in there. Do you know? But that's the way that place was. Whereas obviously it's so different now.
Yeah.
And it was hard to leave, and I think if you even to leaving Upton Park to go into the new stadium, at first we didn't get it right. I think everyone knows that. And it's probably took 4 or 5 years to actually get the feeling of being home again. And it takes big European nights like we've just had to get that.
That's one of the best experiences following West Ham in the media in that European campaign.
No, I don't think any of us thought we would have nights like we did, like Seville, and you know that was so special. And we beat some big clubs at home that year, last season. But nights like Seville and the European nights were just made the place home.
Yeah.
And I think everyone realised what a special place it can be. For me to end my career on that season, like with what we'd done, was just it was special.
Can you sit back now and appreciate like them nights in Seville? Mate, what was that one in Seville when you come on and run down the wing? I thought, what's that? Is he on a moped or something?
That was Leon.
Leon.
Yeah. Do you know what, Joe? It's like, because it was, I knew it was my last season. I already told everyone that. But Moisey was like, no, I need you. Like, I'm going to need you a lot. So make sure like you ain't having a day off. I was like, boss, I'm ready to play when you are.
Yeah.
So because we was doing so well in the Prem, I played quite a lot in Europe. Like I played a lot of the away games. I played I played the first game against Rapid Vienna at home when Deck scored, and we had a great, obviously, group stages. And what was fantastic as well, we'd already qualified, so we played 8 young kids against, even though we lost, but for them it was amazing, Joe. Like, it was such an incredible evening for the club and for the staff, for the coaches. And then all of a sudden you get, I mean, you've been there at bigger levels, but you go through the group stage and you're like, right, it gets serious now. And then we got Seville and we got Lyon, and then obviously we come up short against Frankfurt. But Seville and Lyon was like special, mate. Like, and Joe, like from the away games, we'd fly back and we'd go back to a hotel in Stratford. So and then we'd be getting McDonald's on Deliveroo and sitting there with just won 3-0 or whatever, and we was buzzing. It was like a great team spirit. Get up, train in the morning, and then we'd be obviously travelling on the Saturday. So we spent near on every day together, and it was like, at times it was like going on a trip with your mates. You know, like we were so confident about winning. And then, obviously we come up short against Frankfurt, but I just kept waking up thinking, like, I've played for West Ham for 18 years. How can this be my last season? You know, playing in these competitions and being where we are in the Prem. And then even the last game when Lucas saves Mahrez's penalty and against City and we draw 2-2. I actually play, obviously, or come on. It was just so special, Joe, so special.
Quick fire questions, Nobes. So, if there's one moment you'd go back and change in your career, what would it be? Don't say me signing for West Ham.
Scoring the pen against Man United.
What's the best atmosphere you've ever played in? I
mean, I didn't play against Frankfurt in the semis, but that was
unreal.
I've never seen anything like that. But played in, I'm going to say the last game at the Boleyn. It's phenomenal.
Special. What was the best team party you've ever had? You think you've got pictures of this in Dubai?
Am I allowed to say it or not?
You can say that if you want. Carrying me to bed at 3 in the morning.
I carried my hero to bed. Took his clothes off and put him in bed. Rubbed his head. What a night.
What's the funniest thing you've ever heard on a football pitch?
One of the funniest things I've ever heard, we was playing Burnley and I can't remember which team it was, and someone elbowed Gary O'Neill in the back of the head. And Gas O'Neill said something to him. And he went, I'll meet you in the tunnel. And then Gas said, no, mate, I'll meet you outside next to your Corsa. That's one of the best things I've ever heard.
Nobes, incredible career. Thank you so much for that, Nobes. Brilliant.
No, pleasure.